Hi lovers, welcome back to my channel. It's Vanessa Sierra. If you have not been here before, make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video because this is a video that's taken me quite a while to make. It's just been hard. I lost my period. I'm laughing because I can't believe I'm even doing this video. It's something that I never thought I would be talking about on camera because it's sort of like girl stuff. It's a little bit gross. It's not something that you want to talk about publicly. But when I posted last year about how I lost my period, I had so many DMs from girls like sort of just asking me questions about it, and it made me realize that not getting your period for 2-3 years, I think mine was closer to the 3-year mark, is actually not normal. I just assumed that I would never get it back, and I ended up not giving a fuck for about 2 years. A few people sort of raised the issue with me, and I realized maybe I should find out what's wrong with me and make sure that I can have babies, because for me, I really want kids. I've always wanted to be a young mum, 25 now, so I've kind of like missed that boat, but I do still want to be able to have kids. I guess I'm just gonna start right from the start. I got my period when I was like 11 years old. I was the first girl in my school to get it. It was really embarrassing because I remember this day vividly. My mum had never sort of given me a heads up on what was about to happen. It could not have happened at the worst possible time. I was on school camp. We were like in the Murray River doing water activities. Thank God it was the last day of school camp because it was horrendous. We were like doing something in the river, like rowing or something for school. I remember just feeling a bit funny down there, and when I went to the bathroom, I was just covered in blood. Like it had gone right through my pants and everything. I was mortified. I remember like just shoving tissues down there. I was so embarrassed because I was sort of like a really shy kid. I didn't have that confidence to go and talk to my friends or like go talk to a teacher or even call my mum. And so I was like so embarrassed about it at the time. I would say my periods at the start were probably heavier than they should have been, but they were pretty regular and there was sort of nothing really wrong with it. I did go on the pill when I was about 14 years old. I was still a virgin. I actually went on because I had really bad stomach cramps every time I got my period. My cramps were so bad, I would be like bent over in bed and literally unable to do anything in life. And I was a really academic student, so I didn't really want that to affect my life, and my mum was really worried, so she put me on the pill and that helped it. I think I came off the pill when I was about 20, just for health reasons. I've always believed in not taking anything that fucks up your hormones, no sort of medications. Like I didn't even take Panadol or anything, like I was so healthy. Didn't drink, which is like crazy for a 20-year-old, but I really strongly believed in like diet, eating well, and using that to sort of regulate everything. So I decided to come off the pill. It was awesome. Like I literally had no issues. All right, now I'm gonna skip forward to sort of around the time where I lost my period. I was about 21 years old. All of these things happened in the space of about a year. I was addicted to like high intensity training. My body fat was down to 14%, which is like crazy low, but my body was like on point. And my diet was perfect. I ate no processed food. I had a full-time job where I was working sort of overtime, and I was also studying my master's on the side. So I was under like quite a lot of pressure, but I still felt fine. In my head, I was like, everything is amazing. I'm looking amazing. I've got a good job. I'm studying like a crazy degree. The next thing that happened, I went through like a pretty bad breakup. The guy was like a complete dickhead to me. I think he had one other girlfriend and cheated on me with like 4 other girls. What the fuck, right? That ended, and I think I just went through like a little midlife crisis because all of a sudden, like within the space of a week, I decided to quit my job. I continued to study, but I was studying online, so there was just that little bit more pressure on me. And then I decided to go traveling for a year. So I was jumping on a plane like every week, traveling to a different city, traveling to a different country. Like it was, don't get me wrong, it was an awesome time, but my body was getting exposed to a lot of radiation. I would do crazy trips, like trips from Australia to Europe and then back to Australia in the space of 2 weeks and then back again. You're not supposed to do that to your body. And then about 3 months into my travels, I ended up finding out that I was pregnant, obviously to the guy that I'd just broken up with. And it was really funny because it was coincidentally at the exact same time as my best friend who I was traveling with at that time. She just found out she was pregnant, and then I found out I was pregnant like 2 days later. I literally just did a test for fun and I was like, holy shit, I'm pregnant. Everyone would assume that this is bad news, but to me, this is like the best news ever. Me and my best friend were like, it sounds bad, but we'd both just broken up with our boyfriends and we're like, fuck yes, like we're gonna raise these kids together. And like, it was just the best news ever. But then this is where everything sort of started to go downhill. I ended up losing my baby. And obviously I was really upset. It's something that's not really easy to go through. I personally believe that losing the baby was a result of everything that I'd been putting my body through. I wasn't giving my body a break and my body was just like, get your shit together. Like you think you're doing good for yourself because you know, all the things you're doing are good. But when you're putting your body under so much stress, it's not necessarily good for you. I ended up losing my period for 3 years and I was like, sweet, I don't have to buy tampons anymore. I didn't have my little crazy week that I do when I get my period. I thought it was awesome. I was like, fuck yeah, like no period, as if anybody would complain. Like 1 year went by, no worries. At the 2-year mark, I'd spoken to quite a few friends and I'd posted about it on social media a little bit. And that's when I sort of started to realize that not getting your period's not normal. You're supposed to have your menstrual cycle because that's the whole process of having a baby. I did all the hormone tests and everything came back fine. I kept going to different doctors. I was watching all these different YouTube videos. I was speaking with other girlfriends who had this issue. I found out that some girls got it from training. I found out some girls got it from like traveling and stuff. And some girls just got it because they didn't eat. And so I started trying like all these different things to try and get my period back. The first thing I tried was training because I knew that my training was a little bit overboard. So I sort of reduced that. I stopped doing all the high intensity stuff that put my body under so much pressure. That didn't really work. So the next thing I did was I started to be a little bit less strict on my diet and I started eating more calories. That didn't work. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop training completely. I'm gonna start eating shit on purpose to try and like gain weight and see if I can actually get my period back. And I still didn't get my fucking period. So at that time I was still traveling a lot and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I need to go back to Australia and just have some stability in my life. So I stopped training, I stopped dieting, I stopped traveling, and it still didn't fucking work. In my head I was like, I'm getting fat, I'm not enjoying my life. I'd taken a break from studying and like, nothing was working. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to training. I'm gonna go back to dieting. And I was gonna start traveling again, but I knew that I was gonna be on Love Island like ages before I went on. So I knew I had to stay in Australia. I think I would say that I started to have more of a balance in my life. So I wasn't eating like a pig and I wasn't fat, but I was sort of at a better body weight percentage. Like I would call it more normal. And I just took the pressure off myself to try and get my period back. I was like, you know what? Like, it's fine. If it means I'm not gonna have kids, so be it. Now, I met my boyfriend in November last year and miraculously, I got my period back. I'm gonna have to give one of my girlfriends credit. Her name's Ashley because she had this exact same problem and she sort of came up with this 3D theory. So I'm not gonna take all the credit, but I think it's fucking amazing and I completely agree that it works. So the 3 Ds are diet, dopamine, and dick. The diet, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you're restricting yourself too much, your estrogen levels go down. Dopamine is released in your body and that's what makes you feel good. Another thing that it does is it helps with things like blood flow, your mood, your focus, your emotions, pretty much everything. So the release of dopamine in your body is like really important. So one of the things that releases dopamine, which I wasn't doing, is going out and actually enjoying yourself. I was so focused on being like healthy and balanced. I was missing out on like sort of that fun part of my life. I started going out, I'd have a few drinks and enjoy myself. Dick is really important to getting your period back. The pleasure that we get from sex is mainly the release of dopamine. When you have regular sex, it balances out your hormone levels. And especially if you're training, because training decreases your estrogen levels. So the 3 Ds, diet, dopamine, and dick are what got my period back. And this is also what worked for my girlfriend, Ashley. So guys, give this video a like because I can have babies. I hope this was helpful to some people. The feedback from my last video was amazing. So you guys have really motivated me to keep posting and I fucking love you guys so much for being there for me. I love you. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'm going to try and vlog daily, maybe every 2 days, and yeah, catch ya.